This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 2018 Coaching Carousel here on the Louie T Network. I'm, of course, your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me on this program. One of the coaching changes that took place this offseason was one that we thought could happen, weren't sure if it was going to happen, but probably needed to happen. And not because of the results on the field, but because of maybe health concerns. Talking about the Arizona Cardinals and Bruce Arians parting ways. And this wasn't a mutual parting of ways. This is Bruce Arians basically saying, hey, I'm getting up there in age, haven't spent a lot of time with my family over the years, and look, I've had some health scares over the last couple of years, and probably best if I go ahead and retire and just enjoy the rest of my life with my family and kind of catch up on lost time, if you will. And so just because of the health concerns, same thing we saw with Gary Kubiak stepping away from football, I thought it was time for Bruce Arians to go. This is a very demanding sport, is football. You spend so many hours during a week of preparation, so many hours in the off season, studying players and putting yourself in a position to try to be the best version of yourself in the upcoming season. It just demands so much of you, and Bruce Arians has given so much of his life to this game over the last 3 or 4 decades. It was probably time for him to kind of ride off into the sunset. Would have been nice if his team would have performed better for him and at least got him to the postseason. They got him a big win, and it was a great way to cap off his time in Arizona with a win on the road at Seattle to knock the Seahawks out of any kind of playoff contention. So, and in his time in Arizona, 4-1 in Seattle, where everybody else struggled out in Seattle, he dominated in Seattle in Arizona as the coach. So I thought that he was phenomenal as a head coach. Loved his spirit, loved his demeanor, loved his ability to light a fire under his players' asses. And I just thought that he was a high energy guy. It took its toll on him, though, and he decided to step away from the game. He was very emotional at his press conference, and rightfully so. He's a guy that always wore his emotions on his sleeve, whether he was chewing out an official for a poor call, chewing out a player for not making a play, or just being himself. I always thought he was a cool cat with the hat and the glasses to match, and that was my guy, Bruce Arians was, and it's going to be tough to see BA go, but nonetheless, I digress. They've got to move on, and Steve Keim has got to find the right guy for this job, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be tough, because this is not the most desirable job with Carson Palmer, which I anticipated coming. With Carson Palmer calling it quits, which, remember, I told you last year when he was mulling over retiring, I said if he's thinking about it, he's already done. His performance and play throughout the season kind of lend itself to that. Then he gets injured, and I think he was ready to go, and so he went ahead and hung it up. So now that leaves you in a bind with no quarterback. Blaine Gabbert's not the guy. And look, you may be able to get by for 1 year with a stopgap and your backup quarterback, and his name will come to me here in a second. But you may be able to get by with him for a year, but you need a young guy. And you won, what, 8 games this year? You went 8-8, and because you went 8-8, you're not going to have a high enough draft pick, I don't think, to get the quarterback that you're probably going to be eyeing. Maybe you trade up to go get that guy. I don't know. With Larry Fitzgerald coming back, I thought it was a long shot, but I thought with Larry coming back, maybe he had a discussion with Carson Palmer, which was going to mean Palmer was coming back, because I couldn't envision Larry wanting to start over, which is what you're doing essentially in Arizona. New coach, new quarterback. You're starting over. Now, Drew Stanton may be able to come and like I said, be that stopgap and kind of keep a little bit of the continuity, because this is a really good Cardinals defense in Arizona. The run game, you're going to get DJ back, which is huge. Going to change your offense, but the quarterback position is still a question mark. But then I asked myself, has Larry ever really had stability at the quarterback position? Outside of Kurt Warner, has he really ever had, if you want to throw Carson in there, knock yourself out. But really, has he ever had true stability at the quarterback position? Not really. So it's not that big of a stretch to see them go out and have to get another quarterback for Larry to catch it. What would that be, like the 19th or 20th starting quarterback he's caught a pass from in Arizona? It wouldn't be the first, nor will it be the last for Larry. But in any event, I don't know if I'm a prospective coaching candidate out there that has a lot of opportunities in front of him. If I'm an offensive, and if I'm a defensive-minded head coach, if I'm a defensive coordinator that's looking to get a head coaching job, I'd love that Arizona job. That defense it's talented, it's aggressive. You can get after the quarterback with Chandler Jones. You got some guys that went down to injury, but there's talent on that side of the football. And I hope that Hassan Reddick injury isn't serious. But in any event, you got a ton of guys that are talented on that side of the ball. Offensively, though, with no quarterback, an aging Larry Fitzgerald, which, shit, you still can't tell that this man's aging. But nonetheless, I don't know if I would want to go there as a head coach if I'm an offensive-minded guy. But I'll tell you what, that defense, David Johnson coming back, Larry Fitzgerald coming back, you get the right guy in there, all of a sudden, and I said this with the Giants, because the defense is so good and defense wins you games in this league, you get David Johnson back and he changes things. It wouldn't shock me in the least if Arizona, not Seattle, is challenging the Rams for the NFC West division crown next season. But you got to get the right guy as a head coach, and I'm putting the ball in the court of Steve Keim to do that, and you've got to get the right quarterback, and I don't think that guy's on the roster right now. That guy's not Blaine Gabbert. It's not Drew Stanton. You're going to have to find that guy, but again, free agency is big because I don't think this Cardinals team necessarily needs to draft a quarterback as much as they need to look around free agency. If you got to trade for Alex Smith, you do it. If you got to go out and sign an A.J. McCarron or you got to go out and sign a Teddy Bridgewater, you do it. I don't think this is a Cardinals team. I think you're ready to win now. So you shouldn't be looking at the draft. I think you should be looking at a very intriguing, maybe the most intriguing quarterback class of free agents we've ever seen. Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees, Alex Smith may be available, A.J. McCarron. There are a number. Jimmy Garoppolo. There are tons of names. Now, again, a lot of those quarterbacks are going to be snatched up. Drew Brees probably not going anywhere. Kirk Cousins may get slapped with another franchise tag. Eli Manning may be available. Look, all I'm saying to you is there are opportunities for you to help this team right away. Right coach, free agent quarterback, and boom, you're right in the mix if you're the Arizona Cardinals. I look for this team to go after a head coach because BA was more on the offensive side of things. I don't know if you're keeping James Bettcher or not as your defensive coordinator. You're probably going to do so. The next coach may come in and inherit James Bettcher as his defensive coordinator. Maybe he won't. We'll see what happens. When a guy leaves, you never know what's going to happen to his staff. If Bettcher is no longer there, if I'm the Cardinals, I look to go after a defensive-minded head coach to accentuate this defense, to make them one of the top 5 defenses in the league, to take that next step and make them even more dangerous, which will allow the offense to slowly come along. And again, if you can get the right quarterback in there with the right coach, that offense could be on the fast track. You get David Johnson back. You got a lot of weapons at receiver in both the Brown boys and Fitzgerald and J.J. Nelson. There's a ton of weapons out there. You've got enough talent on offense that if you get the right quarterback in there with the right coach, and I think the defense needs more attention than the offense does, boy, you could have something in Arizona. But that's just my thinking. We'll see if they decide to go with the same mode, keep Bettcher in-house, and go with the offensive-minded head coach. Go out, maybe go get a quarterback in free agency to fast-track this team And if I'm Larry Fitzgerald, I don't want this team drafting a young quarterback and looking to play him. I want them going out and getting a veteran. I want them trading for Alex Smith. I want them going out and getting Eli Manning if it's possible. I want them to go out and explore a Teddy Bridgewater or somebody like that. I want them to go and be aggressive and get a veteran that can come in and help this team win right away. Got to fix that offensive line. That's a necessity and a priority in the offseason. But I think quarterback should be something you go after in free agency. And head coach needs to be a guy that can come in. And I think if you want to win and win now, you need to go with that same mindset that, and you can go one of two ways. You can go with the 49ers. Look, go with one of the models in your division. You can go with the 49ers approach. Offensive-minded head coach, and he brings in a defensive guy, and he leads the defense to that guy, and he moves on. Or you can go with the Rams approach, where you have multiple head coaches on the roster as your coaching staff. You've got an offensive head coach in Sean McVay, and you go out and get Wade Phillips, one of the best defensive minds in the league, and an ex-head coach, and you say, you take the defense, and I'm done. Wash my hands of it. You worry about that side. I worry about this side. We make beautiful music together. You can go that approach. We'll see what they decide to do. One thing's for sure. If they can get that defense to play at the level that it's capable of, you go out and get a free agent quarterback. You get the right coach. This is a team that could turn it around very quickly and go from 8-8 to 12-4, 13-3 next season. Wouldn't shock me in the least. That's the Arizona Cardinals coaching carousel. We'll see what they decide to do. Steve Keim has a lot of work to do in front of him because not only do I think he needs to go out and get a head coach that can, I think, really motivate this defense and get them into the top 5 because they're capable. But if he wants to go in the offensive direction and keep James Betcher, fine. But not only does he need to find the right head coach, whatever he decides to do, offensive, defensive minded, he also needs to get a veteran quarterback onto this roster that can start right away. To me, those are the two biggest needs in the offseason. Head coach, veteran quarterback. This is the offseason to need a veteran quarterback in free agency. I think you can get a quality thrower of the football in this offseason. Unlike most, you can do it this year. Steve Keim needs to earn his keep this offseason. We'll see if he's capable of doing so. That's going to do it for me and the Arizona Cardinals on the coaching carousel. We're going to talk about all of these teams and the hires that they decide to make. Nonetheless, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. More coaching carousel to discuss. So I'll see you a little bit later. Have a good one. Plenty more to discuss, indeed.